Hello, my name is Nico Kiratsopoulos, and this is my presentation on unity and diversity. So, there are around 7 billion people living in this world today in hundreds of countries, and even though there is chaos and conflict, most societies have developed a balance to thrive, a balance of unity and diversity. This exact balance is spread across many ideologies and philosophies and has been argued for centuries. So, when looking at a solution to this problem, we need to find kind of the most fair society. And so, although there have been places that have thrived under different ideologies, the most ideal balance between unity and diversity is one where there is a maximized amount of beliefs and opinions, while also a unified goal and movement among a large group of people. So, where to find this balance is to look at the pros and the cons of unity and diversity and to see which aspects of which concept do we need in order to find a fair and balanced society. So, starting with unity, we can see that the pros is that there is a very clear kind of movement and focus of a large group of people. So, in the song Lead Me On, there is clearly a group of people under struggle. It says, man hurts man time and time again, alluding to war or any kind of conflict. And so, in the song, the chorus calls upon a higher power or someone of a higher reach to lead me on, to move me in a direction that you see fit. And so, this song not only highlights kind of a hope among a group of people, but how a focus towards that higher power, can lead in one common direction. And if everyone is leading in one common direction, then there is no need to discuss which direction you should be going. There's no need for conflict and kind of argument when discussing this. However, if there is no conflict or argument, there is a huge focus on what biases are apparent. And so, without a variation of opinions, you have what happens in the French Revolution, particularly in Les Miserables, the song Look Down. So, the entirety of the French Revolution was sparked by classism, where high elite officials had a large group of power and were able to kind of do whatever they wanted for their desires, disregarding the kind of the goals of the plebs or the impoverished peoples. So in this song, there are people that are referred to as criminals who stole bread, for example, but it was for the intention of feeding a dying child. And so the officials don't look upon the perspectives of the peasants to maybe fix the cost of bread so he didn't have to steal it. Rather, they look and they say, these peasants are committing crimes, and the goal should be to imprison them and not focus on kind of their desires and their needs. And so with this classism, there's a clear bias onto what is the kind of the progress of society and where it should be moved. And without varying opinions, it is hard to move society in a way that helps everyone. So, speaking of helping everyone, diversity kind of comes in and will eliminate this bias. So, an article by the University of Berkeley describes that, in quotes, the fact is that if you want to build teams or organizations capable of innovating, you need diversity. Diversity enhances creativity. So, this article isn't discussing kind of a diversity among ethnic backgrounds or race, for example, but it is discussing the diversity of perspectives working together on a problem to establish a goal that everyone is happy with. So when you're creative, you're taking different ideas, putting them together to see if you can have an effective solution. But when you're taking different ideas, you're also making sure that everyone's needs are fit by this solution. And so everyone is happy when everyone is working together and has equal say. However, if everyone has equal say, and there is kind of a conflict as to where to go, you could have as a problems that are apparent in Rockin' in the Free World. So in this song, Neil Young kind of discusses how different groups still have problems even though we are in this free red, white, and blue world. And so the song highlights this clear conflict of interest when discussing where we should put our focus. Societies within a large, diverse range of perspectives have trouble, especially in this song, as to where they put their resources to help everyone. So since everyone has their own bias, they're going to want to help themselves. So working together, we should be able to help everyone, but there becomes an apparent problem if there's not enough resources to help everyone. So there is a free world in the song. However, um, I guess the needs of the woman in the song that was addicted to drugs or the child left without a stable family, their kind of needs were disregarded. So a huge problem with diversity is that kind of not every problem can be solved. If there's a multitude of voices expressing that my problem needs to be fixed, my problem needs to be fixed, there has to be a voice left out in this progress, and it can be disappointing and it can cause major conflict. So, speaking of a time of major conflict, the Constitution itself was kind of attacked in this article by the Heritage Foundation, where it discusses the problem of the Constitution is not kind of the paper itself, because it had well intentions, but it was the people that acted out this legislation. So the article discusses how kind of there was a bias among the people that had power where they chose not to do laws that could have helped the slaves, they could have helped minorities, they could have done all these things that would have helped other people from different perspectives, but their main problem was that they didn't have those perspectives. There was a bias in who was in charge, thus a bias in what was getting done. And so even though the Constitution talks about kind of human rights and talks about freedom of speech, people weren't able to do everything because it was only highlighted what would help a certain group of people. And so when we have everyone's perspectives, we also need to think that society needs a similar kind of motion of progress. So the Constitution talks about the human rights and it talks about kind of the betterment of the country. And so everyone needs to be moving in kind of a direction, kind of like in the Lead on Me song, they need to be moving in one direction that everyone agrees in. If there's a conflict of which direction to go in, even though everyone has a voice, it doesn't matter because there will be no progress. And so relating this back to the ideal balance of society, kind of the Constitution talks about how everyone should be treated fairly and equally. And what I take from that is that it is not kind of how fast we move towards the future. It's not that this elitist class has created this society that is economically booming. It is important that if our progress answers each individual perspective's needs, that is the most essential thing. It is not essential for a society to move forward in the most kind of successful way possible, because the most successful society is one that takes the needs of each individual perspective and is able to kind of reach them to the best of its ability. Thank you. That's my presentation on the balance of unity and diversity. Here are my citations. I hope you enjoyed. Thank you.